So all of these colors that you see in this blanket, do you love that he just decided to not lay on the blanket that I put out for him and lay on the other side when he could be laying on this beautiful blanket? Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 187 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today is Tuesday, June 26th, and today is the very last podcast here in New York City. Before we get into things, I just want to say a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's podcast. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for growing your business online. Squarespace makes it super simple to create a beautiful website, sell your digital or physical products, and share your creative content with your audience. I'll be sharing more about how I use Squarespace for Love and Stitches later on in the video. I finally finished my website and I'm really excited to share it with you. But let's get back to the show. So you may be noticing that things look a little bit different here. Like I just said, it is the last podcast here in New York City, and that's because we are moving in just 4 days, 4.5 days, I guess technically. It's a Monday today, and we are moving on Friday. If you haven't seen any of our announcements, Kent and I and Toaster are going to be moving temporarily to Tennessee, staying with my parents for about a month to 5 to 6 weeks. And then we are going to be starting this adventure where we are traveling around the United States in a Sprinter van. So we have purchased our van. We're really excited to go pick it up after we get to Tennessee. Of course, we're going to be sharing all of that with you here. Although this channel is not going to become a van channel, this channel is still going to be knitting content, but we are planning to make another YouTube channel all about our travels. So why am I sitting on a mattress on the floor? Because since I recorded the last episode, we have sold our bed frame. Luckily, we sold our mattress, so we are going to be keeping that and sleeping on this until we move. Also, the side tables that you don't actually see in the podcast but always hold my computer with my lovely notes is gone. And so I just thought it doesn't really make sense to bring my computer chair in here today and record in the usual spot. It's so much easier for me to just sit on the bed level, because typically I have the bed right next to me at like waist height with all my projects, and today I just have all of my projects here on the ground. So bear with me with this final New York City episode. I have been knitting like crazy this week. I've actually finished some projects. I've started a new one, so we have lots to get into. So let's get started. I have really shocked myself this week by finishing not one, but 2 pairs of socks. Now, the first of the pair was already finished before this week, and I kind of had an inkling I was going to finish 1 sock this week, but we've just had a lot of time where we were out of the house, I was on a train, I was walking, where I was bringing socks along with me, and they kind of knit themselves. So back in maybe May, I think. I guess that's true. It already feels like July right now because it's the end of June, and so I'm getting a little confused on my months. Also, if I sound a little silly today, I've had double the amount of caffeine that I normally have, and I have a lot going on in my brain with the move, so it might be a little bit silly today. But I started 4 pairs of socks sometime back in May when I received all of these Sock Week 2023 yarns, and I have slowly been working on them and finishing them off. My plan is to save maybe just one of the yarns to work on during actual Sock Week. In the past, I think this is going to be either our 5th, I think it's our 5th Sock Week this year. And I've always overdone it. I've always given myself too much to do. And so this time I'm planning to just really enjoy and not give myself a whole lot of like homework to do and just be a participant in Sock Week and all of that. But let's talk about the actual projects. That's what you're here for. So I finished this lovely sock this week. I did quite a bit on it, as you can see from where my progress keeper was. I did most of the foot and the toe. So this yarn is one of our Sock Week exclusives. It is still available as of this moment. It is from Rising Tide Fiber Co. and it's called Jellyfish Jubilee. Another side note here, we've switched the camera settings back because we don't think that they were super great last week when we tried something new and fancy. So just FYI, we're reading what you're responding to and thank you for your input and feedback. Okay, back to the socks. So I made these, and sorry I don't have them on anything because all my blocking stuff is packed, my sock blockers are packed, and when I get to Tennessee to my parents' house, I am planning to have a big blocking party and block all of my socks. Maybe I'll have all 4 pairs finished by then. We'll see. That's about a week away. So these are kind of a midi length. I did my perfect fit sock formula for these, which means I did increasing, decreasing, and that these are custom fit for my foot. And then I did a really fun stripe here, which I totally took this idea from an amazing designer, Summer Lee, when I made another pair of her socks. I don't remember if the striping sequence or the number of rows is exactly the same, but I think that's where that idea came from. And I put some fun little stripes so I could use both of the minis. All the details about how I did these socks are in my project page. Just keep in mind, those are custom fit for my feet. If you want to figure out how to do a custom fit for your own feet, you can do that with the Perfect Fit Socks course. Now, I actually made a mistake in these socks. I made a mistake in the first sock, so then I needed to replicate it on the second one. It's not really a super huge deal. It's not as great of a fit as I normally give myself, but I made a goof on this ergonomic toe. So if you can see here, let's see if that shows. I think you can kind of tell. So an ergonomic toe, all it is you do a different rate of decreasing on the big toe side than you do on the pinky toe side. So for my foot, I do fewer decreases on the big toe side, so it's a more gradual slope because that side of my foot is pretty much straight. And then I do decreases more frequently on the pinky toe side because that's how my toes come in. When I started this, I started doing a decreased rate, I think, of every 3rd row and every other row, when I meant to do every 4th row and every 3rd row. And so what that means is I did more decreases than I really intended. And so you can see that this toe comes to a pretty small point. It actually works out okay. It's not excellent. I think it will be a little better when I block it, but you can see like it fits fine. But this slope is like a little bit too much. Like I'd like a little more space for my toes. And when I do that other decrease rate, it works better. Here's how the socks look. They're a really great length. I like them because they're short and they're great for transitional weather. Not right now, it's really hot and humid here in New York City, but in the fall and like the spring when you don't want long socks on, but you want something that you don't have to worry about falling down all the time, this works really, really great. So finished up this pair of socks this week and I was really proud of myself and I thought, hey, that's great. I am so happy with that. And then I finished up another pair of socks, which I was totally shocked on because I was all the way, oh, I have this stitch marker on here the wrong way. There we go, now it's flipped around. I was all the way up here and this one's a tall sock. So I was really shocked that I got this one done. Before I share the details about the sock, I just want to show you the difference between the ergonomic toe that I intended and the one that I did accidentally. So here's the one that I intended to do. You can see that that end, like toe base, is a lot wider. It's almost hard to tell that it is ergonomic, but I promise you feel the difference in the fit. So look at the difference at the end there, how few stitches are here and how there's a lot more here. So even though this works, this for me, I find is better. But if you have a different toe shape, you can totally play around with that and find what works best for you. Some people even like to do more decreases on the end so that instead of having it be very like square corners here, it rounds. There's so many things you can do. Okay, so these socks. This yarn is from Obsession Yarns. It's another one of our Sock Week 2023 custom colors, and it is called Enchanted. And it is such a beautiful yarn, such a nice base. It's been a joy to work with. It is a micro stripe, so you can see it's done a really beautiful kind of stripy look, but very even all the way around. Like not pooling or anything like that. Just a very, I mean, I guess in a way it is pooling, but it's not doing that splotchy pooling. I'm just somebody who doesn't love how that looks. Now, since there was just one mini skein, I didn't want to risk not having enough, so I didn't use the mini skein for the heel. And look at how it striped in the heel. It did like thicker stripes because fewer stitches, which I think came out really, really cute. And I had plenty of yarn. I still have a little bit left of my mini skein. I haven't weighed it yet, but there's a decent amount there. I might have been okay, but I've never taken the time to actually weigh how much yarn I need for my toes, heels, and cuffs. That would be really useful information that I could then use on future socks. So I knit so much on this. I think, oh, you know what? I didn't start on this until Thursday because I did most of this during Hamilton that we went to see. And then I was thinking, okay, I've got a movie going on let's see, I went Hamilton on Thursday, so I needed knitting for the show. And then on Friday, I was like, oh, I need to get something prepped for a movie I'm going to on Saturday. So I had a day in between, and I did the heel. And then during the movie, I did most of the foot. And then I was so close to the end, I just decided to finish the sock while we were out and about on Sunday. And that's the story of how the sock got done this week. So this is another completed pair. Again, I'm going to block it once I get to Tennessee, and it will look a lot better. But these are a much longer sock, a longer leg, and again, my perfect fit formula that just fits me really snug and really, really nicely. Now, I have a lot of yarn left over from both of these socks, so especially the shorty one. I mean, I haven't weighed this yet, but there's 2 minis in here, and then this has got to be, I mean, maybe 70 grams. There's a lot left of this one. Less left on the socks with the longer pair, but it might even still be 40, maybe 50 grams. So I'm planning to save maybe this one to do during sock week because I want to make one of our sock week special patterns that are coming out. We have 2 amazing designers that are designing sock week patterns, and both have color work in them. And I feel like this is going to be a really good contrasting combo, these 2 right here. So I might save that, but then this one I have already gotten a full pair of socks out of. So something fun that we are doing in the Sock Week Discord that you can join or you get access to if you join our Sock Week events is we are doing a swap, giveaway, sell kind of thing for Sock Week yarns and other sock yarns. So that way, I mean, a little bit for me, but also for others, I feel like it's fun if you had it in the budget to purchase maybe one colorway, then you use half of that skein, and then you could trade it with somebody else. So maybe somebody in California has this colorway, and maybe somebody in New York has this colorway. They both make a pair of socks, and then they swap, and they can make, maybe a pair of shorties or something like that. So we're setting that up in the Sock Week Discord. So if you're in there, that should already be open by now. And because I'm not trying to add anything to my stash, I'm just going to be giving away, sending away my extra yarns. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that yet. I might wait until after Sock Week to just make sure I have enough yarn to kind of get through. I mean, obviously I have tons of yarn, but I want to use my Sock Week yarns during Sock Week, and then I will be giving those away. So far I have finished 1, 2, that was this week, and then even before this week I did a super shorty pair, it's all in this one bag here, of this one, which is so fun. And so that means I just have 1 pair remaining. I have that one, where is it? It must not be in here. I don't know where I've set that one, but I put that in a Sock Week project bag, and I finished the first sock of that one. It's our self-striping colorway, and I'm working on the second. So I feel like it's very doable now for me to finish all 4 socks, all 4 pairs of socks before Sock Week, leaving me super, super free to have a really fun Sock Week and start something new. Next up, I am still happily working on my Battenberg blanket, which is a pattern by Sandra Paul. It has beautiful colorful squares as well as neutral squares, and I shared last week that I have ordered my neutral color from the same dyer from a homespun house. So that should be hopefully getting to Tennessee maybe around the same time that I am. I really would love to finish this blanket before we leave in August to go on our van adventures. And I think I can do it if I can keep up the same pace. It's going to be a busy next month or so, but we're also planning to have more time off. And to be honest, I don't know if it will be this way since we're going to be at my parents' for such a long time, but usually when we visit my parents, a lot of the day-to-day responsibilities like cleaning and cooking are not on me. I get to really, really enjoy. So we'll just see. Obviously, we're not going to take advantage of staying with my parents. My parents both work too, but we are kind of excited to have this next month to just transition. Anyway, I have been keeping up with my 6 colors per week on the Battenberg Blanket 3 weeks in a row. I'm really proud of myself. At some point this week, I kind of thought that I maybe wasn't gonna quite get all 6 of my colors finished. There was a period of time, I guess when I was knitting on all those socks, because we were out of the house a lot, just seeing New York City and like visiting friends and things before we leave, I didn't have as much time to sit and work on projects in the evening, which is when I usually work on my granny squares. I cannot walk and crochet. I can sit and crochet, but not walk. But then, let's see, then on Saturday and Sunday, I ended up having more time than I thought, and I got my last squares for the week finished last night, Sunday night, just in time. And today, Monday, is a brand new week, and I'm starting on my last 6 colors. But before we show that, let me show you the colors that I got finished this week. So this is not in the order necessarily that I worked on them, but this one is Cedar. I also did Whispering Pines. This one is super, super pretty. Oh, I can see that the coffee is getting to me now. A little bit of a shake. I definitely need to eat some food after this and it will go away. Juniper is the next one. And I'm not working on these squares in order of how they're going to go into the blanket. I kind of just pick a vibe for the week. And so this one was kind of like oceany. This is called Oatmeal. I kind of picked like blues and greens, and then this one, the oatmeal, kind of reminded me of sand. I don't know why. I felt like I wanted a bluey green ocean vibe for the week. This one is called Tegan. I don't know what that means necessarily. And then, oh, I was gonna say I'm missing one. And then this one is called Barley. So these are my 6 colors, beautiful colors for the week last week. Aren't they so pretty all together? I was putting out, so these are all the ones that I have done so far. These are granny squares, not yarns. I've just been putting them back into the label so that I can keep track, because I know based on a photo that I took how all these yarns are going to go together, how all these colors are going to go together. I just started a thought and then I completely forgot what I was saying. Doesn't matter. If it's important, I'll come back to it. But anyway, finished all of these for the week. So now for this last week, it is not the last week of working on the blanket. It's the last week of working my colorful squares from the Advent. I have only 6 colors left. And so this week I didn't have a choice of what colors were left. It's more of just a random assortment. Was I maybe saying that I wasn't putting the blanket together or wasn't working on the squares in order? I don't really remember. But anyway, these are my colors for this week, minus one that I already started on this morning. So we still have a really lovely assortment of colors. Actually, this is the one that I'm working on. Today, I've only done 1 square so far, and I started on the second one. Oh, here we go. I like to keep my crochet hook in this zippered pouch because then I don't lose it, and I've got the ball of yarn in there as well. Woo! Almost knocked over my water. Thank goodness I didn't. So that's all in here. And then I have been tying off the ends into my magic knot ball. So after I finish, so 1 mini skein, like this, 1 mini skein makes 6 granny squares with around 2 grams left. Each granny square takes 2.9 grams, so about 3 grams. So once I get to the end, I don't have enough yarn left to make another granny square. So it can make 6 exactly with a little bit left over. And then the little bit left over, I've been tying into this magic knot ball. I don't have any plans for this. I think I'll probably actually join it into my larger magic knot ball, but it's just been nice to do it along the way so that I don't have a big, tying the magic knots is kind of annoying. And so it's kind of nice to do it at the end of making all of my squares. It kind of is like a nice bow to tie on top that I've finished that color for the day. But what happened earlier this week, actually it just happened yesterday, so I guess it's still early on in the week, but the color that I was working on Friday and Saturday, I was taking out and about with me. So on Friday I went to meet a friend for coffee. Kent and I also went to the Met. We went to a restaurant. And I also was working on socks at that time, so I was pulling stuff in out of my bag. What I do is after I finish a square, if I'm out somewhere, I put it in this pouch. So I try to be really careful. Then on Sunday, no, that was Friday. On Saturday, I was also working on it out and about. Again, we went to a restaurant. We just did different things, and I was working on the squares pretty much whenever we were sitting. So then on Sunday morning, I'm finally finishing this color up, and I've taken myself outside to the park nearby, and I'm working on my squares, and I realize I've gotten down to that 2-gram ball. And I can tell by now, I've done 18 of these. I know when I'm done without weighing the yarn that, like, okay, this is my last square. There's not enough yarn left to make another one. I've reached the end. So I realized that, and then I'm counting my squares, and I only have 5 instead of 6. And I'm like, oh no, I start searching through the pouch that I had. I didn't have this project bag with me at the time. I'm like, oh no, I wonder if I've lost my one of my granny squares. And again, there's only 2 grams left at the end. They take 3, so I didn't have enough to make another one. And so I waited until I got back upstairs and I weighed my yarn. So I have a picture of that. I weighed it to see, like, maybe I just was a really loose crocheter for a while and these granny squares have come out bigger than the other ones. But after weighing the 5 squares that I had plus the little bit that I had left over, it was only 16 grams. So I knew for sure that I was missing a whole 3-gram chunk out of that, which was a granny square. So I was really sad. I was starting to think about what I was gonna do. I went and looked in all my pockets that I had been wearing over the last few days of the pants I'd been wearing. I looked through my purse, I looked through the tote bag that I'd been carrying, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I was just about to say, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to maybe take 2 colors that are similar, because 2 grams and 2 grams would make 4, enough to make a square. I would really hate that because I don't like things to be, you know, a mismatch. I wanted it to all be 6 squares, and then I found it. Luckily, somehow it had made its way into the bottom of this bag and was buried by all the other yarns in there, and I felt so relieved. So moving forward, I am being extra careful about all of my granny squares, and I am making sure that I kind of count along the way. So that way I can always be keeping track of which square that I am on. I've put a little bit of work this week into my mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made Designs. I am using a Moonglow yarn called Wild Orchid. It's a really beautiful, deep, deep pink. I started out really strong this week on this one and was using it as my morning knitting, but then I quickly reached a point, oh, I'm in the middle of a row here too. Nice job, Natalie. I quickly reached a point where I needed to spend more time. It was kind of finicky on the different things that I was doing. So I don't even think I ended up, oh, I did. Oh, wow. Just kidding. I did a lot more on this than I thought. Look! I guess I have worked from this, what is this thing called? This like Hostess cupcake thing? This is from Simply Serving, by the way. So actually, I've done quite a few inches. Okay. All right, Natalie. I didn't realize that. I am really close, like rows away from finishing this portion, which is the back. And the construction of this is seamless. So after I finish the back, I will be coming to the tops of the shoulders, working the fronts, and then connecting everything under the arm. So I'm so close to that that I just stopped working on it because my other projects were fitting better into my day. My socks were fitting better into going out and about and doing different things. My granny squares are my biggest priority right now because I really want to stay consistent on my blanket. And so this project just kind of hit the snooze after a couple of days, but I did more than I thought. I'm actually kind of surprised. So probably what's going to happen is I am going to be working on my final sock week sock as my on-the-go knitting for the next little while. And then when I finish that, I'm gonna have a shift of projects here where different things will come into different priorities. That's just kind of the way I think about my knitting all of the time. Anyway, not much else more to say about the mini mock neck tank, but I am excited to continue working on it and hopefully have a lovely tank to wear at the end of the summer. I do have one new project to show you, one that I didn't expect to cast on this week, but after talking with one of my knitting friends, she was talking about, you know, it would be nice to have some moving projects kind of cast on and ready to go so that I didn't have to wind yarn or think about it and stuff like that. So after I met with her and came home, I made it my first priority to get this project started. I've already talked about this, I had plans for it, but this is my Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. Specifically, this one is going to be Kent's Pokemon Musselburgh hat. So right now I am using a black yarn. It is so dark. I know what y'all mean now by working with black yarn. I think I'm finally at the age where my eyes don't work well at night, or it's a lot harder to see at night. I mean, I think it's hard for most people to see darker colors at night. And so this is a daytime project for sure. I do have my neck light so I can get that out, but I prefer to work with, like I can see better in natural light. I don't know if that's true for anyone else. Anyway, I got this started one night and then I was like, no more working on it at night. It is too dark. This yarn is from Fangirl Fibers. I'm kind of looking to see, I don't know what I've done. Oh, it might be in here. I have the label here somewhere so I can tell you the colorway. Hang on, let's see. Oh, yes, here it is at the bottom. It is called Gray Skull from Fangirl Fibers. And I have the 80-20 blend, 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, because I wanted to match this, which I know is nothing to see really, but it is the yarn that I used for Toaster's Pokemon Advent blanket. I have so much yarn left over that I decided to make a hat for Ken. So all of these colors that you see in this blanket, do you love that he just decided to not lay on the blanket that I put out for him and lay on the other side when he could be laying on this beautiful blanket? Anyway, these are all the colors that are going to be in Kent's hat. But because I wanted to make it a very practical hat for him wearing this many colors at a time is not really his style, not really practical for him, but he does love all the colors and he loves Pokemon. So we decided with the Musselburgh hat, it will be great to have one side be solid and the other side be striped. So just like this hat right here, just imagine that one side is going to be the solid black color, not ribbing though. I'm not doing ribbing on this one. And then the other side of the hat is going to be really thin stripes of all of those different colors. So I'm not really actively working on this project. I did work on it a few different times this week, but I more just wanted to have it ready because this week is going to be busy with moving. Like I said, I'll probably be working on my last sock week sock as my first priority for easy knitting. But then after that's done, it's going to be game on for the hat. So this week is like our last week in New York, packing up and moving. And then we have several days where we're actually making our way down to Tennessee, where I will have lots of time to knit. And then immediately after that, we are flying from Tennessee to another state to pick up our van and then drive it back to Tennessee. And then it's sock week. So it's going to be a lot of busy stuff back to back to back. And rather than wait to start this project, I know I'm already going to start, I again just thought it might be a good idea to just have it started, have the yarn wound, have it cast on, and have it ready to go. I really want to finish this project in July because all of these yarns are part of it. And as you can see, this takes up a lot of space. So ideally, it would be nice to have this project done before we start traveling so that I don't need to bring all of this with me. I'm also planning to give away the rest of this yarn because even though I'm going to use, you know, a little bit in the hat, I will still have probably 4 to 5 grams of each color left. And so I'm going to be giving that away to somebody else. I'm really excited about that, being able to pass that on. I already got to use it in not 1, but 2 projects. So that'll be really fun. So again, I just don't want to have to deal with all that on the road. I'd rather finish this project in July. So just getting it started, getting it ready means that I now have a sock, a hat, and a camisole that are all simple knitting for the next couple of months. I think I will be set. I mean, I'm also going to be working on the blanket, so I think I have plenty of projects. One other thing I did this week is I wanted to get things organized, so I had 2 things to combine. All these little burlap bags are actually from my Homespun House Advent, and I had all of my balls of yarn from the Fangirl Fibers Pokemon Advent in different Ziploc bags. I had like 5 of them in a bag at a time. That's just the way I kept them ordered, actually, kind of like this. And I know there's more than 5 in here, but I kind of had them like this. And then there's little cards, Pokemon cards, that say what the color name is. So I thought this will be really brilliant. I'll take the bags that are already numbered, take the ball of yarn, take the card, put them into the bag. There's also stitch markers that go with this. So basically 3 things, a ball of yarn, a card, and a stitch marker. Put them in the bags that I already have, cinch them together. Then the next person that gets this advent will have a really fun time, not only getting to kind of open it as an advent, but then also all of the information they need will be together, right? Thought that was such a great idea. So here I go, getting everything organized. I have all the yarns out, I have all the cards out, I have all the stitch markers out. I'm putting them together. And then I get to color number 24. It's not at the top here, I don't think. Let's just pretend this is color number 24. I get to color number 24. I cinch it closed with all the things in there. And then I realize there are no more bags left. Because this advent had 24 colors and the Pokemon advent is technically a July advent and it had 31 colors. So 24 of the colors are all bagged and I think 7 of them are still left in here. Now my sweet friend Melissa reached out and she said, hey, I've got some bags 25 through 31 that I'm willing to send you. So she's probably going to be sending those to me. If not, I'll probably just put the rest in Ziploc bags. But what the funniest part about all of that was that I was posting on Instagram stories like, hey, look, I'm about to put everything, get it all organized, like a picture of everything out. And then my next picture was going to be everything in the bags, right? A nice little tidy transition. So that's not happened. The next picture was, oh wait, there's only 24 bags and 31 colors. And then the number of people that responded to that and said, yeah, I was wondering how you were gonna do that, but I thought you already had a plan. It just made me giggle. It just was so funny to me that everyone else pretty much had clocked this except for me. And it took me actually doing it, actually getting things organized to realize that I didn't have enough bags. Not a big deal at all. Obviously, I'm gonna get it solved, but it really did make me laugh. That's all the projects that I have, but I have 2 more quick things I wanna show you. So the first is something that my friend Kat made for me. This is the Sophie scarf. Oh no, I cannot remember the designer. Oh, it's Petite Knit. These were really, really popular, these little Sophie scarves. And I thought it was so nice of Kat to knit this for me. It's just really special to receive a gift as a knitter because often we don't get those. And actually, the gift I received last week, I'm already using, and I can't wait to use this one. It's very, very cute. It's got like a lovely mohair in it, and it's really cute. You can wrap it around, I mean, however you want really, but the designer has it wrapped around twice and then tied, which is pretty cute. And it actually is quite warm, so I'm gonna take it off right now. But anyway, thank you, Kat. I wanted to show that off because I thought that was really fun. I don't know if the original pattern has the mohair held with it, but I felt like that was a really a really nice touch to make it really nice and soft. I think this would be probably another great project for one skeins or maybe even leftovers. I don't even know if this took a full skein. And then I got another gift from my friend Charles. We also met up to knit this week. A project bag from Knitty City. I actually need to open this. Hold on, let's just open it right now. I'm going to put my Musselburgh hat in it. So what's funny is, we have a bunch of stuff from Knitty City to give away, and it's all giveaways. It's not for me, so I didn't take anything. And I don't even have a Knitty City project bag. And I wanted one, but I just didn't grab one when I was there. I just decided not to. And so when Charles was like, hey, I got you something, I feel like you already have one, it was perfect timing because not only do I not have one, I really wanted one, like recently. Look at this bag, isn't it super cute? It's really sturdy and really nice. So I am gonna be putting my Musselburgh hat in here. Obviously all the little minis are not gonna fit, but the hat is gonna do great in there. So thank you, Charles. Thank you, Kat. I just wanted to share those because I was really excited to get them. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's podcast. So I have been working on my Squarespace website over the last little while, and I am so pleased to say that it is all ready. Squarespace makes it super simple to grow your business online. You can use their website features, their blog features, their scheduling features. You can even set up your newsletter, your member area, or integrate your online store. Remember last time when I showed you just how easy it was to connect your Etsy store with Squarespace? Here is what it looks like once you get it all set up, and all I had to do was click one button. Since my website is ready now, I just finished taking advantage of Squarespace's domain transfer, which made it really easy to take my website from the previous place that it was and move it over to Squarespace. Even easier if you're setting up a brand new website within Squarespace, you can purchase your domain through them. Squarespace makes it really easy to set up, and you can even choose to customize it, whether you want .com, .url, or something totally custom like .art. If you're a small business, there's just nothing better than having a clean, beautiful looking website to send people to look at your things. And now you can go to knittynatty.com, access my patterns, my YouTube channel, my courses, and so much more. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/knittynatty for 10% off your first website or domain. Toaster is so relaxed right now. It's starting to get a little dark and spooky outside again. It's been a rainy day, off and on, very, very muggy. Is it hot and humid where you are? Because the humidity has been killing here this week. It is terrible. All right, let's get into some questions. The first question today is from Roos7631. Do you and Kent have a lot of camping experience? And what kind of hand knitted items will you take with you on van life? Like a blanket for cold nights, how many pairs of socks, sweaters, tees, etc. I would love to see more about the organization and packing. So you're not the only one who asked about what blankets we were going to be bringing, because I have finished 4 blankets this year. So I am excited to answer this one. So first of all, how much camping experience do we have? Well, I have 0 camping experience. I have never been camping in my entire life. So check in with me here in a couple months and see how things are going. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities between van life and camping, but we also have our own indoor space. I know there's probably a lot of you right now that have experience with this that are laughing at me, like obviously I'm gonna have a lot to learn, but I don't know, I'm not gonna be sleeping on the ground, so it feels less like camping to me than I guess what I imagine when I think about camping. So we'll see. We will definitely have a lot to learn. As far as what I'm taking with me for my handmaids in the van, I am probably just going to bring a couple of blankets and maybe 1 sweater for now. So the great part is that we are going to be traveling for about 2 months before we come back to my parents' house, which is going to be our home base. So, ooh, I don't know if you could hear that thunder, but Toaster definitely did. You okay, buddy? He gets a little scared of the thunder. It's gonna be okay. So really we only have about 2 months until we get to return home, return to our things. The weather is going to be warm when we're traveling for those first 2 months. It's going to be August and September. Wait, I lied, not 2 months. August, September, and October. So 3 months we're going to be traveling. So I'm not going to need all the warm weather things yet. So I'm probably not going to bring maybe a couple pairs of hand knitted socks. I honestly haven't thought about the socks yet. I am planning to bring, actually it's right here in front of me. Ooh, I think I'm probably gonna bring this sweater with me just because it folds up pretty small. It's really basic. This is the Citrine Light by Emily Green. I haven't had the chance to actually wear it yet. My ends are still, they're woven in but not cut here on the sleeves because I still haven't decided if I'm going to shorten the sleeves or not. I made them a bit long. But I'm probably gonna bring that and then maybe my long summer cardigan, which is also here on the floor because I just threw it on the floor because I've been wearing it a lot. This is the long summer cardigan by Hoagie Locatelli. I didn't plan that, but that worked out nicely. So I'm probably just gonna bring a couple things. And as far as blankets go, I am planning to bring this blanket for Toaster, the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket. And then I'm also planning to bring my Quadrophenia, which was the only knitted blanket that I made. It is really small, it folds up really nice, and I think it will be a nice like passenger seat blanket. So something that I can use when I am sitting in the car and, you know, Ken's got the air conditioning up really high and I'm cold, I can put that on me. Other than that, we really don't need to bring a lot of extra bulk because we are gonna have like big blankets for the bed if we really need to cover up or anything like that. So that's the plan so far. Once we actually get into the van and live in it for a few weeks, I'm planning to do some kind of a like, here's how I'm storing my knitting and projects and things in the van, maybe as part of the podcast, because I don't think it's going to be enough to really truly make a video on because there's not going to be a lot of it there. But if you didn't see, I think it was last week's Tuesday video, I did talk about things that I am packing. So like what kinds of knitted accessories and items that I am going to be bringing into the van, and then what things I'm going to be keeping in a tub stored at my parents' house. I want access to all of it somewhat easily because this is a big part of my life, right? Okay, next up was also a van related question, and this one is from Carolina Girl Stitcher. What are some of your favorite van life YouTube channels? So I have been really into Kara and Nate. They're my absolute favorite. They do a lot of international travel, but they did live in a van for 2 years during the pandemic, so they have a lot of van life stuff, and they really grew when they did a lot of van life stuff. I also really like Eamon and Beck. I'll have all of the channels linked down below. And I like Kinging It. They're really, really fun. And then a new one that I have recently started watching is The Endless Adventure. And I feel like they're good to watch because they're a little more, they don't travel internationally quite as much, or at least I haven't been seeing those videos. They do a lot more stuff like around the United States, which is what we're planning to do. So that'll be really fun. Kara and Nate are Tennesseans, so that's kind of fun. We actually went to the same college. I did not know them, but that's another reason I think why I like them a lot. Eamon and Beck are in Canada, and then Kinging It, they are in the UK. I think one of them is from Wales, and the other may be Irish. I can't remember. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. And then The Endless Adventure, they are also American. So lots and lots of people to watch. It's very, very fun. Okay, next question is a little more knitting related. Hang on, let me get back to it. This one is from Brina. How do you juggle multiple skeins when helical knitting? I just started my first hand-dyed sweater and I am using the technique, thanks to the tutorial by the way, but I'm struggling with keeping things untangled and tidy when managing 2 skeins. Any tips? Okay, I'm really glad you asked this question because I literally designed something just for this. So my very first design ever was actually intended for making hand knitted stockings. So with the stockings that I was making, I was managing more than 2 skeins, like 5 skeins at a time, and sometimes little balls in between. And I wanted something that was portable, but also that like held all of my skeins, but then or all my cakes, and then was also movable. And so I came up with this concept of a float tote, and it's called float tote because of colorwork knitting, and you have floats on the back. And then that kind of spun into several different sizes. I have a 5 skein, a 3 skein, and a 2 skein. I also have a 1 skein, but at that point you really just need a project bag. So I grabbed my 2 skein one. It was luckily on top of my tub. So this is the Float Tote Mini. It is the 2 skein size. It's crocheted. It looks like this, but the real beauty of it, I'm gonna fold down, is the inside. So in here, you've got 2 cups that can hold your 2 different yarns. The cups are also removable. I like using these magnetic snaps, all the instructions and like which ones I have, it's all in the pattern. So you can take them out if you want to, or just leave them in here. So what's really great about this is you can have your 2 skeins and you can rotate it. So when you're helical knitting, you really just need to go, I'm trying to remember if this is right. You can either go like around in a circle, like as your yarns work, like keeping them untwisted, or you can go back and forth. I think that's true. I'm trying to remember. There's definitely something you can go back and forth on. So essentially you work one yarn, flip one way, work the other yarn, flip back. And you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. That way you're not having to do that whole like shuffle one over the other thing, which is also fine. You can also take them out if you want to do that. Then when you're done for the night, you just put your project on top, flip this back up, and it's good to go. Obviously, you still might have to take a moment to set up every time you sit down to knit, but this really does help so much. And again, this is a 2 skein size, it's the mini, but I also have a 3 and a 5, so it works really great. So I'll have the pattern linked. I really like using it. One other thing, this doesn't really help with managing the yarns from tangling, but I have seen people making the yarn cozies, which are available in lots of different ways, and making them different colors so that they can distinguish between the 2 yarns. I think that helps a lot with helical knitting because sometimes if they're the same color, it can be hard to tell which one you've just used. So if you're like, I have purple and I have blue, and then I go purple, blue, it may help you remember which one to use. So there are a couple of different ways to help manage things. All right, next up, let me see if I can get this right. Okay, here we go. This question is from Smitten Kitten. If I complete a pair of socks during sock week, is that 2 entries or only 1? This is going to be my first year participating and I am so excited. Thanks. Okay, so the sock week challenge is to complete 1 sock, not a pair, but 1 singular sock. So anything you do beyond that is going to be another entry. So every time you finish a sock, you're going to fill out the Google form that I will have available once sock week starts. And so 1 pair of socks is 2 entries, as long as you follow all the other parameters for sock week, which is starting, excuse me, starting July 9th or later, finishing before July 16th, fingering weight yarn, adult size socks, all of the above. So as long as your socks fit that, when you finish sock number 1, fill out your form. When you finish sock number 2, fill out another form. The form will also be really easy to fill out with bonuses. I'll have things that you can just tick off and everything like that. It'll be super simple to not miss anything, but I can't help you make more entries, if that makes sense. Like, you have to know that a pair of socks is 2 entries and you have to do 2 separate forms, if that makes sense. This is all just for prizes. If you don't care about prizes, then don't even sweat it. Do whatever you want. I think I toasted his hair and just got into my lip gloss. He's been shedding a lot lately. Okay, I think this is the last question. Yes, this is the last one. This one is from Hey Virginia. Question about the Battenberg blanket. The pattern calls for fingering weight. Are you using only sock yarns? I have a variety of fingering weight yarns, including cotton and linen, in addition to sock yarns with wool nylon blends. What do you think of mixing fiber content with a single Battenberg blanket as long as the yarns have the same weight? Okay, I'm going to share my opinion on mixing yarns, but please know that this is not a hard and like a black and white thing. You can do whatever works for you, whatever your experience is telling you, and whatever kind of fabric you like to make up. So in my opinion, I would not mix cotton and linen into something that also has wool and nylon. I just don't like mixing yarns at all. If it's a scrappy thing, sure, that's fine. But for my Battenberg blanket in particular, I actually made sure to choose a joining yarn that is the same base, and not only the same base, the same dyer, because I'm crazy like that. That's obviously not necessary. But the reason I wouldn't mix wool and nylon with something like cotton and linen is because these fabrics behave so differently. Wool and nylon is going to have a nice bounce, a nice stretch. Different yarn bases of wool and nylon are going to look different. If it's a 2-ply yarn versus a 4-ply yarn, a lot of times you're going to see more shine on the 4-ply yarn. You're going to see a little more roundness, a little more bumpiness to the 2-ply yarn. Same thing if they're made up of different amounts of wool and nylon, like 80% or 75%, etc. But in general, those will all pretty much work together and look very similar on your blanket. You're gonna have to look really closely to tell the difference. When you throw cotton or linen in there, you're actually getting something that looks very different. Not only does it look different, it's actually going to behave differently. So if you have a cotton square next to a nylon square, this woolen nylon square is going to expand and come in because of the nature of the fiber. Your cotton square is going to be very stiff. It is not going to have a lot of give or stretch, especially linen has no give or stretch. And if it gets wet or damp, or if there's moisture in the air and it stretches, it's going to stay. So the problem with that is that you may use exactly the same hook, do exactly the same number of stitches, use a cotton fingering weight and a wool fingering weight, and your square is going to come out completely different. Not to mention, if you then go and block it, which you should block your squares, you should wash your blanket. When you wash that cotton yarn, it's going to probably expand and stretch and become a larger square, versus your wool nylon one is going to expand and stretch and then come back a little bit. They're just going to behave totally differently. And then when you're using it, let's say you have a whole section of cotton and linen that's not going to be very movable. It's not going to do it. It's just going to stay the way that it is. And then the rest of your blanket is flowing with you, it's stretching, it's moving. I don't know, I feel like it just wouldn't work out great to have those randomly mixed in there. That's just my opinion. Use that information to make the best decision for your blanket. And of course, everyone is welcome to add their opinions to the comments down below for any of these questions and suggestions for people. It's always very, very helpful to get some input from our community. If you have a question for me, make sure to put it in the comments down below. But first, put #question at the beginning so we can know to look out for it and answer it in the next podcast. This week's newest video is a yarn store tour right here in Manhattan. It is at Knitty City, which is in the Upper West Side, and one of my favorite stores to go to here in New York City. I always suggest it, especially when you're visiting Manhattan. It's a great place to go to. And it's really close to my favorite cookie place, Levain. You okay, Toaster? Oh, he's starting to whine. It's really starting to rain now. You need to go out? Okay, hold on. I just let him out the door and he just came and has pushed his paw into the door. You want to come back in? Anyway, what I was trying to say is that we have this yarn store tour, the first of hopefully many. When we start our journey in our van, we are going to be starting from scratch, and our goal is to go to a yarn store in all 50 states. So New York's not going to count, Tennessee's not going to count. We've been to Georgia. We've done a few different yarn store tours. We're starting from scratch. We're starting over, and we were trying to get to all 50 states, one yarn store at least in each of them. Now for this Knitty City one, they gave us a bunch of stuff to give away, an amazing tote bag, all kinds of stuff in there. There's yarn in there, and I've got 3 of these to give away. So make sure you go watch that video so you can see how to enter it over there. Coming up next week, I am going to have my Scrap Free 2023 6-month update. Don't freak out because you're gonna see me here in New York City with that video because I've already filmed it so that it's ready, so that we're prepared for our move because it's gonna be very crazy. But I am really excited to share that one. It was a lot of fun to go back and look at the last 6 months and just see how many scrap yarns I have used, how many advents I have used, how many blankets I've finished. I did a lot more projects than I thought, and I'm really, really proud of myself for how I was able to work towards that goal. I'm obviously not totally free of scrap, so spoiler, I still have some, but I have a whole lot less than I started with at the beginning of the year, and I'm really, really proud of myself for that. Sock Week 2023 is quickly approaching. The official make-along is going to start on Sunday, July 9th through Sunday, July 16th. The goal is to knit or crochet one sock or more, up to you. We have so many different things attached to this. We have all of the sponsored products like the yarns I was showing earlier. There's still some available, some yarns, some bags, some other things, but they are going quickly. And because they're exclusive products, our sponsors are not going to be making them forever. So make sure to get them before they are gone. We also have lovely Sock Week fabrics still available with pencils and parsley. We have Sock Week merch. I'm not wearing any today. Normally I am wearing Sock Week merch, but we have still plenty of that available. And then the other thing we have is our Sock Week event package. We have 5 amazing events and that Discord that I was talking about earlier where we're going to be swapping yarns, but mostly we're in there chatting with each other, sharing photos as we get ready for Sock Week, and then we'll use it as a lot of encouragement during Sock Week. But there are 5 events that are part of the package. The package is $30, so it's essentially $5 per event plus $5 for the Discord. So I think it's a really great deal. The first one is an event with Andrea Louie, who is the knitting PT. She is going to be presenting her workshop on how to basically prepare your body for Sock Week and how to prevent injury and strain when knitting and crocheting, especially when knitting and crocheting something so small like socks, and for this kind of marathon knitting and crochet that we are preparing for. So that's going to be like a super, super good class. Then on Saturday, myself and Kent are going to host a midnight cast on party on Zoom. By the way, all of these are virtual, all of these are on Zoom, and all of them will be recorded. So if you're somebody who just knows you have a really busy week, maybe you're on vacation that week, or maybe the times don't work for you, I'll have the link with all the details down below. Everything's going to be recorded, so I think it will still be definitely worth joining in that package because you'll get all the recordings to watch for a year, so whenever works for you, and then you'll get to be live part of that Discord package. Okay, so knitting PT, midnight cast on party. Then on the next week, during Sock Week on Wednesday, we are having a Sock Week expert panel with 3 people: Julie of Twin Stitches Designs, Lindsay of Sock Witchery, and Emma of Bloom and Create, all of whom are sock designers. So that'll be really fun. Then on Thursday, we're going to have Celebrity Family Feud with some of our Sock Week sponsors. And that will be really fun because you'll get to be part of the game as an audience member, but you'll also get to watch and be entertained by our 6 Sock Week sponsors playing the game. So it will be very, very fun. I may be scooting in one more event. I haven't decided yet. That will be a surprise if it's coming. And then on Saturday, the 5th event is another Zoom with me. It's going to be a Sock Week show and tell. So just showing off because that Saturday will be one day until Sock Week is finished. So we'll just be sharing what we've our progress that we made, our socks that we finished, or maybe even our yarns if we weren't able to get started, which is totally fine. So all that information and the signups can be found down below. And just a reminder, if you sign up for my Fish Lips Kiss Heel mini course or my Perfect Fit sock course right now, you get that Sock Week events package for free. So again, all the information will be down below. One other exciting thing about Sock Week coming up is that on July 1st, so when is this podcast coming out? Like the 29th? So like just a couple of days away, we have two amazing Sock Week patterns that are Sharky themed that are going to be really, really fun. The first is the Affinity Socks by Carrie Cogan Brown. They're a mosaic sock pattern. That's the one I'm kind of thinking about maybe using this yarn for. I think that would be really, really fun. And that is a knitting pattern. And then the second one is the Shark Bite Socks by Emily of Crochet Creations. The really cool thing about this one is that there is a knitted version and a crochet version, which is really, really cool. And I'm so excited that we are having not only are we featuring pattern designers for the first time this year, but a crochet pattern. So those are both coming out July 1st. You can get them in either Carrie or Emily's Ravelry, or I think actually Emily is on Etsy, Carrie is on Ravelry, so you can grab them from their respective shops, and I'll make sure to add the link to everything so you can grab it then. Last quick thing is that just keep an eye out on my Instagram over the next couple of weeks about YouTube videos coming out, because I think right now we should pretty much be able to maintain our Tuesday, Thursday schedule throughout the move. But just in case something happens and we're not able to get everything recorded, I'll be updating everyone via my Instagram. As of right now, I should be recording and posting a podcast next week. But again, you just never can really predict things. I think with moving, I mean, we've done a really good job planning things out. This is probably one of our easiest moves so far, and we've moved a bit. I don't want to jinx it though, so again, just check Instagram for the latest updates. Over the past week, we've really been doing our best to just enjoy our last couple of days in New York City, see lots of friends, and because of that, we have been out of the house a lot. And you saw that that resulted in quite a bit of knitting for me with my socks. And I don't know, I've been really still so shocked about just how much I've still been able to knit and crochet throughout this move. I think that that's hopefully a sign of growth for me, because the moves that we've done in the past, things were a little bit different because I did also have another job at the time. So I can tell that, having one job has really helped make things a lot more manageable. Working for myself and being able to arrange my schedule has been really, really helpful. But I think just I'm in a better mental state of being able to plan and balance things, and knitting and crochet, especially this crochet blanket, has really just been a great place for me to fall on every single night or when I need a break during the day. And just, it's consistent, and it's been there for me through this transition and through what could be a really, really stressful time. So I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, we were out a lot this week. So on Wednesday, I met with my friend Kat. We got some coffee, and then we tried a new coffee place, and then we walked to Central Park. I ended up getting this rosemary honey biscuit that was so good. I honestly want to go back and get another one. I don't know if I really super call it a biscuit in the Southern sense of the word, but it was a biscuit, and it's the best biscuit I've ever had in New York, because I really haven't had a good biscuit in New York yet. So it's really, really good. I worked on my granny squares in the park. That's not the day that I thought I lost granny squares. Luckily, I managed to keep all 6 that day. And we had a really great time. We then walked to Knitty City to see, Kat had never been to Knitty City, so we took her in to shop, and we also got to see their new installation on their tree from Carmen, who is the Carmen community artist. So that was really cool. You'll see that in the Knitty City tour video if you haven't seen it already. Let's see, what else went on this week? Thursday, we went to see Hamilton. We wanted to go see Hamilton since we moved here, so we were kind of waiting it out, trying to maybe win lottery tickets or see if there was a cheaper night for us to go. And it really got down to crunch time, so about 2 weeks ago or sometime at the beginning of this month, we just went ahead and bought tickets. We ended up kind of sacrificing view for being close. So we had really close seats, but they were partially obstructed. So mine was a little better than Kent's. He was on the outer edge, so he couldn't see like an entire staircase, but it didn't really matter because most of what happened in Hamilton was right in the center of the stage and we were 3 rows back. It was amazing. It was so good. I loved it so much. And I was really grateful that we got to see it before we left. I'm gonna miss Broadway a lot. On Friday, we went to the Met. We wanted to make sure that we got back to the Met because the first time we went was only this year when Kent's brother was visiting us, and we didn't get to see all of it. So we decided to take Friday morning, go to the Met, finish up seeing the things that we had not seen before. Then we kind of got done earlier than we thought. So we went and got some ramen, which was really good. And then that afternoon, I had plans to meet another knitting friend, my friend Charles, and we met at a coffee shop. Kent actually stayed with us for a while and hung out. And then Kent went on home to take care of Toaster. Charles and I continued to hang out. I got a rose latte. We went to Remy, which is on the east side. It's a really great coffee place. It's a coffee and flower shop, which is really cool. And we ended up sitting outside. What was interesting about the weather this week is that it rained pretty much all day Friday. It was like kind of misting and sprinkling. So we were technically just sitting outside in the rain. It wasn't that bad. But it was kind of funny. I got rained on for hours on Friday, but it was all right. It was nice to be outside for that long. So I worked on my granny squares. That's when I thought I might have lost one of my squares. And then I ended up getting another latte, a honey latte, and that was a lot. No more double lattes for me. It's too many. But then Charles and we both needed to walk across the city. We were like on the east side, we needed to get back to the west side. I was headed to Pilates, he was headed home. And so we walked together and I was knitting on my socks. See, again, that's why I got so much knitting done this week because I had so much walking. He was actually needle pointing. So I have a picture of us, him needle pointing and me knitting, and we're both walking, and I'm sure we were a sight. But obviously in New York, there's always so much going on. I doubt many people even noticed it, but we had fun. We thought we were cool. Then on Saturday, pretty much Saturday and Sunday, we spent a lot of time with one of our closest friends here in New York City, just spending as much time with him as possible. On Saturday, we went to a movie. We saw No Hard Feelings, which has Jennifer Lawrence in it. It was all right. It's a raunchy comedy. It's not appropriate for kids. It may not even be appropriate for you, depending on your tolerance and preferences. So look it up before you go. But it was funny. It made me laugh. I knitted during the movie, of course. And then we went out to dinner. We went to Hibachi. We actually went to Benihana, which is like obviously not a New York City restaurant, and kind of funny in our last week that we went to a non New York local place, but it was fun. Oh, actually that reminds me, on Friday night we went to our favorite sushi place, Omakase by Karami, and it was amazing. Gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot about that. That's how much we've done this week. There's just been, getting all those last time here kind of things in. So it's been a really good week. On Sunday, we went to our favorite Japanese izakaya place, which is Small Bites. It's like a bar and Small Bites, and we just went during the day, so it was really casual. Had like a mocktail and some food, and then came home last night, and it was the first night in maybe like 4 nights that I was home before 10:30. And for me, that's like really late. That's like already past my bedtime. So it felt really nice to rest. Toaster actually woke me up this morning at like 6 a.m. So I'm really glad I got like enough sleep last night. But this week is the rest of the week is all about just packing. This is my last day of work technically, where I'm doing a full day of work. The rest of the week is just going to be little things here and there. We're going to be packing up all the rest of our stuff. We're leaving on Friday, so by the time you're watching this, we are probably going to be on our way out of here. I'm really sad. Trying to take in like everything, like just the view and just how much I appreciate just being able to walk outside and like feel that sense of community and go to my favorite coffee shop and all that stuff. Oh yeah, this morning I met another friend for knitting. My friend Heather. We didn't get to hang out for long, but we had some coffee and she was knitting on a sweater. I was crocheting on my squares, and I don't know, it's been a bittersweet because we really love it here, but we're also just realizing that this chapter is kind of just the right time for it to come to a close, and we have another goal that we have in mind. We want to travel, we want to visit all 50 states and go to all these yarn stores, and I just didn't expect to feel quite as sad as I do, so I'm just taking it all in this week and trying to appreciate every single moment. But next week, when I hopefully record the podcast, you will be seeing me in Tennessee. I don't have much new to report as far as knitting and watching. I'm still reading Patterns in the Sand by Sally Goldenbaum, which is a knitting cozy murder mystery. I have to think that I'm almost done. I've done something to my Kindle where I changed the settings and I can't see my like percentage or what page number I'm on. I'm sure, I mean, obviously it would take me like 30 seconds to Google and to fix it or even just mess around looking in the settings, but I just haven't. But I have a feeling we're getting really close to finding out who the murderer is. I am also reading, what's it called? Oh, Hooked by Sutton Foster. I'm listening to it and I'm almost done with that one as well. On Sunday, I spent about an hour just outside enjoying the weather before it got too hot and humid, working on my squares, losing my squares, thinking I lost them, and listened to a lot of that book. So I should be finishing it up here, probably in my next walk to and from Pilates. So what else? Did we watch anything this week? We really haven't been watching much. We went to see that new movie, but we spent a lot of time out of the house this week. I have for you a great tip of the week. I was trying to think of something that related to the projects that I'm working on this week, and I just realized that this was a week of just comfy knitting and crochet. I didn't really learn anything new. There wasn't any big breakthroughs or anything, but then I remembered that someone had asked me on Instagram, actually not one person, but two people, about how to hand wind mini skeins. So for all of my mini skeins, for my homespun house blanket, I have been winding them by hand. I think it's a really useful tool, and I've not been doing center pull balls like I've done in the past. I've just been winding them like this, just a hand wound ball, and I do it without a Swift. I do it without any other tools like a Nost pin or anything like that. And I just think it's really nice because that allows me to then take the mini skein and a pair of scissors out of the house and I can wind wherever I am. I've wound a skein of yarn at the park this week. I've wound a skein of yarn at the coffee shop this morning. I wound another skein of yarn at the coffee shop when I was visiting with my friend. And again, it's just useful to know. So I will put the tutorial down in the description box below. I had filmed this one last year. I believe it was last December during Advent season or just before Advent season, because when you have all these mini skeins and you're opening one each day, it's like, do you really want to take out your Swift and your ball winder and all of that? You totally can, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I have done that before, but for a day-to-day thing, for me, it's a lot more manageable to just wind things by hand. It makes things super, super simple. All right, that's it. Oh my gosh, Toaster's not even in here with me to support me through the end of this last New York City podcast. He abandoned me and went out the door to hang out with Kent. So that's it for the last episode in New York City. I'll see you next week in Tennessee. Bye.